y'all, it's Dr. Dre with A Better Way MDTV, and I'm coming to you on week 18, and we're going to talk about how to make your life easier. But first, I want you to go back and do some review if you are in the middle of the Hollow month and you feel like you've done the spiral and you're eating all the foods and all you can think about is, let me get to January 1st. I would like for you to stop and just sit down and think of a goal that you'd like to have on December 31st. Not the goal you're going to have for next year, but how would you like for this year to end? Do you want to end it 10 pounds up? Do you want to end it at the weight you are? Do you want to end it knowing that you planned all of the yummy food that you're going to eat? Figure out what your goal is and then put your brain to work making that goal happen. Now, one of the things that my clients come to me all the time and say is that this is so hard. It's hard to lose weight. It's hard to plan your food. It's hard to follow the plan. It's hard to create a protocol. It's just so hard. But, when you think about it, if you think something's going to be hard, then it's going to be hard. So I would suggest that you try to reframe the way you think about the protocol or your food plan. Like, how can I make my food plan so that it's easy for me? In what ways is my food plan easier than just kind of rolling with it? In what ways can this create some time and space in my life? And I think approaching it from that standpoint works a lot better than coming at it from, this is so hard, I'll never be able to do it. And here's another tip. If your protocol is too hard for you to follow, then your protocol is too strict. And you need to liberalize it a little bit, because it's much better to have an eating protocol that you can follow your entire life and lose a little bit of weight along the way than it is to have a really strict protocol thinking you're going to get your weight off quick, because you're not going to keep it off, because you're going to go back to the way you used to eat. So think in terms of long-term success, long-term sustainability, and ease. And one of the ways to make a protocol easy is to really constrain the food. So you could constrain it both on the amount and on the type. And I like to think about it as just how the easiest way to eat food is to eat whole food. So there's very little preparation, very little recipe. You just eat some protein, some complex carbohydrates or whole grains, lots of vegetables, a little bit of fruit, and some fat. And just keeping that kind of in mind and using one type for everything is really effective. So for instance, if you mostly focused on olive oil as your one fat, you could use that for your salad dressing, you could use that to cook your food, you can use that to flavor things. So think of it in terms of ease of use. Now, you may say, yeah, but I've got these recipes and I'm always looking for something new. Stop looking for something new. Pick 21 of your favorite recipes. Create the recipe so it follows your protocol. So in other words, if it calls for a tablespoon of sugar, 95% of the time you can leave that sugar out. And start to create like a series of meals, anywhere from 21 to 28 meals. And then you follow those every night. And maybe you decide that I'm going to double a recipe so that you can repeat it later in the month or next month if you freeze it. You can create meals that use the same ingredients multiple times. So for instance, a friend of mine has a recipe for something called Tuscan chicken, which has sun-dried tomatoes in it and spinach. And it doesn't call for a lot of spinach. I actually kind of triple the amount of spinach that it calls for, but I still end up with a ton of spinach, which is great because spinach is so good as an antioxidant. So then I create a spinach salad to eat throughout the week. And I have a couple of different variations of spinach salads that I eat. I know 1 week out of the month, I'm going to create what I call a bowl. So it's a complex carbohydrate with roasted vegetables and a little bit of fat. And I mix that up. 1 week out of the month, I eat a tuna salad, which has chickpeas and tuna and basil in it. And so I really keep my recipes simple and constrained, and it just makes life so much easier. You save time because you can get the ingredients before the week gets started. You can do some minor food prep. I also try to look for ways to make it easy at the grocery store. So, for instance, I always buy the cubed squash because it's really kind of hard to cube up squash, and that's one little step. Is it more expensive? Sure. But it's also maybe saving me some time. I use my pressure cooker for making big batches of grains on the weekend, and then I just have them to go, and I just pick a little protein, get a little whole grain, throw a little fat in it, whether it's avocado, olive oil, or whatever, and I end up making it fairly simple, and I use spices to kind of spice things up. There are lots of spices out there that are good for you, like cinnamon, turmeric, ginger, garlic, black pepper. Those are all really good for you. And so I tend to use those a lot in my foods to kind of perk things up. I also think it's a good idea to figure out an easy way to get protein for breakfast. And if I eat breakfast, I'm usually going to eat leftovers or some other non-breakfast food just to make it easy, because you can eat dinner anytime. Just because you eat it at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. doesn't mean that you can't eat it at 8 a.m. So create ways of making it easy for yourself. And that goes for both exercise or physical activity, as well as trying to get in your water. So one of the things that I do is kind of an if-then statement. So if I drink at least 24 ounces of water in the morning, then I get my first cup of coffee. You would probably be surprised at how easy it is to get in your water when you piggyback it with coffee. Like, I always get 24 ounces of water in the morning because I really want that cup of coffee. So figure out little ways to do that to make your life easy and constrained and just kind of step by step, super easy to follow. So if you find yourself thinking that things are hard, or your protocol is hard, or this way of eating is hard, reframe your mindset. How do you make it easy? How is it saving you time? And hey, it's saving you time in the long run because it's saving time on the end of your life. Because we do know that losing weight can extend your life. All right, so make it easy, make it great, and I will see you next week.